It is Sunday morning, and you know what that means, everybody. Welcome to the Ultimate Fantasy Show here on Twitch TV. Twitch.tv/Ultimate Fantasy Sports, Ultimate Fantasy Football Show coming at you. Happy Thanksgiving to all our Canadian friends here. I got the screens going, folks. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening. We're going to keep you up to date on the latest in incoming fantasy football injury news. We're going to have our prop play bets. Are too hot, too spicy picks. Prop play bet. You want to lay some coin down, get you taken care of there with some nice prop plays, some starts, sits, sleepers, DFS, DraftKings play, and get you all ready for week 5 in the National Football League. Also, in a few minutes' time, Dr. Brian Harwood is going to be joining me. He's the founder of the SBFCC. Tell you all about what that means and what that is. One of the great people I met at the Fantasy Football Expo back in August when we were down there for UFF Sports. So phenomenal time there. Hope everyone's having a great weekend as we get ready. And of course, get your fantasy football questions in using hashtag AskAndy, either right here in the Twitch chat or on Twitter at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMCSports. Have a whole bunch coming in already, but get those questions in here. We'll keep you all up to date. Also, folks, click share on the channel here. Click share. Like, notifications on, throw some bits in, subscribe. We all appreciate that very much to bring you this top tier.
Through my online store alone, we've sold over $500,000 worth of spices.
Lots going on.
That's so crazy.
I went from selling to my town to selling nationwide in 1 week.
Also, of course, another London early game on right now. So in London, England, the NFL, they just love printing that money, baby. Doesn't matter the quality of the game. It's just going to be there. I can't blame them. Halftime in London, the Packers leading the Giants 20-10. So at least a little more high scoring and interesting than the Thursday night game. And dare I say last Sunday's early game as well that had the Saints and the Vikings. Halftime stats, Aaron Rodgers, 146 passing yards, 2 tutties, no interceptions. Daniel Jones, who was questionable, had that ankle issue, 81 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Saquon Barkley, 55 yards on the ground. Aaron Jones, 35. Dylan, 21 for the Packers. And I believe we have now he is in transit. He is driving right now, but he said, "Damn it, Andy, I need to be on the show with you." And I said, "Hell yes." Dr. Brian Harwood, the president, founder of the SBFFC. Brian, how you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Andrew. What's happening, buddy?
Not too much, my man. Not too much. Thanks for jumping on. Now, where are you in transit from and to?
So we're coming from Indiana. We played golf yesterday at Union. We played the #1 golf course in the state. Last Resort Golf Course. I like playing golf. Like I can sit in the car, look at these player props, and start to sip, and try to study in a peaceful manner. So we're driving back en route to Lexington today to make fun of all the UK fans that got beat last night by South Carolina.
Right. Good man. And of course, yeah. Out of Kentucky.
What's that, buddy?
No, I was gonna say, yeah, you guys from Kentucky. Tell us who's in the car with you too.
This is my co-conspirator, my tag team partner, Mr. Living Legend of Fantasy Football, Mr. Matt Cranston's car, driving. He's driving down I-75 as we speak.
Nice to meet you, sir.
There you go. Hey, buddy. Good. Thanks for jumping on and driving our pal Brian around and all that. Glad you guys are having a fun trip and safe commutes and travel back. So today, with you guys on, we're going to get to our player prop picks, get some betting tips in and advice in that way. Fantasy football start, sit, sleepers. But before that, now I got to meet you, Brian, at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio back in August. Tremendous event. It was a real pleasure meeting you and getting to chat with you and really learning about what you guys are doing over there at the SBFFC. So before we get into the fantasy stuff, tell people what that is, because I'll tell you this. I'm always looking for an excuse. I don't know if you guys can see. I got my certified, I'm going to hold that up to the camera. I got my certified bourbon steward from the Stave and Thief Society pin, and I want to get that executive part where you have to go to Kentucky to get it. So I've been looking for an excuse to get to Kentucky, and I think the SBFFC might be the thing to help me do it. Tell us about it.
Well, we got the bourbon grills all over the state. So we got Woodford Reserve, Buffalo Trace Bourbon, who was our sponsor for 10 years. dog turkeys, 4 roses. So, northern Kentucky is where your bourbon trails are towards the central England, northern part. You can come in there, like, say, Friday, catch a flight, out of Cincinnati or Louisville, what have you, and use the bourbon trail that Friday afternoon, and then come on down for a weekend of drafting, the SPFSC Friday night event. Kind of a smaller scale, but kind of gets all the people together. It's ready for the weekend, and the SPFSC main event, which is a single entry tournament, is that Saturday, August 19th, 2023, in Bowling, Kentucky, at the Licensed Company, hosted by the national champion WK Dance Team, sponsored by Bird Dog Bourbon, and trophies are by Trophy Smack, who's a Janesville Maxwell reporter. MK Fantasy supplies the draft boards, and then we have silent auctions and raffles to make it really fun. Free food, drink, beer, what more do you want? It's a single entry tournament, by the way. Single entry. A lot of these other tournaments, FFPC, NFSC, you can do more than one entry. No, the SPFSC is a single entry tournament.
Awesome. I love it, man. I've loved the idea. Love what you guys, and you guys have been doing it for a long time, all over the continent. Really, you got some guys up from Canada, so I wouldn't be the first Canadian to come on down, and it just sounds like a heck of an event. So I'm very excited to hopefully be able to make my way down there next year. And real quick too, tell people where they can find out more, because you sent me, you put out the pictures. Looked like an amazing time. Tell people where they can find more. Then we'll dive into the meat of the fantasy football. We have some injury news updates and some player prop bets too. But where can people find out about you?
SBFSC.com, SBFSC.com, and I'm really interested on Twitter as well. And you can also, for owners that want to win a free team next year, they can do our FanDuel and FanBall games every week with your entry. Now, this Ontario thing, this regulation, that they're about worse than our governor. Our governor don't allow gambling either. So, I mean, I can relate to you on
Isn't it terrible?
the lack of ethics and common sense in state government.
I know, Brian. So guys, I'm in Ontario. For those of you who don't know, for some reason the government here, and it's different across Canada as regulations go. I can't play now. I used to before they supposedly quotations opened things up for betting. I used to be able to play DraftKings, FanDuel anytime I wanted. Now they've clamped down for some reason. They've gone reverse, but then opened up some betting site. It's a total mess. So I can't physically play or enter the FanDuel or DraftKings or whatever DFS side of things. So that's a real piss off. But what are you gonna do? You just keep battling. Brian, I got some updates to share with us for everybody for injury news. If you are a Michael Thomas owner with the Saints, he is ruled out against the Seahawks with the foot injury. It says he's likely to come back for next week, but that doesn't do you much good today. That means some Chris Olave again. That value of Olave rises when it comes to having Andy Dalton under center. And Brian, it's been an interesting year because you see somebody like, let's say, a Cooper Rush, Andy Dalton, even a Joe Flacco come in. The year early on of the backups, they've actually been able, for the most part, to make the fantasy pieces around them relevant while maybe not being so themselves. But I don't think you lose that much when it comes to Andy Dalton distributing the ball to let's say, a Chris Olave.
I wouldn't think so either, because Andy Dalton's a good game manager. Olave, he'll just run.
Unlike Winston, though, Dalton's not going to throw 5 interceptions.
Yes, exactly. Well, Wentz is so interesting there, Matt, because he started out the first 2 weeks of the year. He had over 28 fantasy points each week. So we're thinking, okay, and then he turned into, Carson Wentz. And it's like, oh yeah, right. That's why we don't play him. That's the reason why. That's why we do that.
We got a fellow WKU alum playing today, the Patriots. Bailey Zappi went to me and Hartwoods College. So we're going to root for him today.
There we go. I was going to say with Zappi. So this will be interesting because, Mac Jones ruled out. I'm expecting what I've been advising people, guys, is double up if you need to for, your DFS plays, DraftKings, whatever, on your Patriots running backs. I think this is going to be sort of a grinded out type of game on the ground where Damian Harris, I think you can play, and Ramondre Stevenson, I think you can also play maybe in a flex, because both have been eating the last 2 weeks with touches, getting production. And if you're the Patriots, you want to maybe see what Zappe can do in spots, but you don't want to put too much on his plate, right? So maybe the running game's a spot to look at today.
Yeah, that was one of her favorite prop bets so far this week was hitting Stevenson. I'll let Harwood talk about that.
Yeah, Stevenson, I mean, he can be a beast. He's one that he can got to run the ball. Matt says the play call for Bailey Zappi right now is dangerous. I'll probably depend more on the running game for this aspect, so I could see Stevenson doing more kind of manner today.
Okay. And for Zappe, for those who don't, I'll be honest, I personally didn't track him that close in college or anything, but you guys did. What coming out of college, NFL, different game, of course, but what type of quarterback are we looking at here? Is he somebody that is he more mobile? Like what for fantasy players or people betting in general? What from the college skill set? What type of QB is that?
He has got a great mind. The mental game is strong. He makes quick decisions. He gets the ball out quick. He's very poised. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he's more, short throws, get the ball out. I mean, that's what he thrives on. Great decision making.
Interesting. Okay. A couple more injury notes. If you guys haven't heard, Brian Robinson will be in today, apparently on a pitch count. Anywhere between 20, 25 snaps is what people are saying. Who knows how much they hold to that. Of course, he was shot in the summertime. Coming back now, what that does, of course, it puts in question Antonio Gibson's playing. I would advise if you can fade on Gibson, do it until we sort of try to see what type of workload this is. Does Robinson stay healthy? How does this work with him getting into that scenario? So we'll track that. We'll get to more injury stuff. Let's get to the player prop bets here, gentlemen. We each got two. Brian, I'll let you start with yours. Your player prop bet for today's or week 5 action around the National Football League.
Well, we've got some discrepancies. We go to different sources to look at what rushing yards, passing yards going to be. So we go to about 3, 4, 5 different sources to find some of these props. And what I'm noticing is that there's a big discrepancy with Stephon Diggs. FanDuel, we got him 79.5 receiving yards over. And he might go 100 easy. So we get his
over. Is the line? Wow.
It's there's been, really? I'm logging in the sports book now because you got the security now. I've got to log in every time. So
right.
Yeah, we got good. We thought that was, I could see Diggs hitting 100 easily. So that's 20-point discrepancy from, the sources we're looking at based on the line. So we would hammer for sure Diggs today.
Over 79.5.
Guys, I absolutely love that play. 39.5. That should be free money. That's a sensational play against a Steelers team. News as well, TJ Watt had a knee procedure, so he's going to be out even longer. But yeah, really the only thing you got to super be aware of on that Steelers defense is Minkah Fitzpatrick kind of floating around. But Josh Allen isn't afraid to sling it. I love that line. That could be the prop play of the day right there. That's a hot one, boys.
79.5 over. And we also played Derrick Henry over 84.5 rushing yards. He's doing pretty good. I've got him down for about 95.
Yeah.
That discrepancy is not as big as Diggs, but I think Henry, we know he's going to get a lot of carries today, and Washington's defense is not the best in the world. The Commandos.
Absolutely. And you look at Washington. They've been against fantasy football running backs from giving up points. They're at the bottom of the league as far as giving up the fewest, about 4th fewest. However, that's how this offense with Tennessee is built. It's built around the run, and it doesn't really matter what the other defenses are going to do because you're going to be feeding Derrick Henry as much as possible. So I like that.
And Harwood and I are Titans season ticket holders, so we follow the Titans a little closer than other teams.
Okay.
Henry's looking good lately. The offensive line, after we got rid of Taylor Lewan, they're open and they're starting to get they're starting to get him holes like the Henry of old. So I think he's gonna have another good day.
Starting to get back into it. Love it. Okay, so we got some inside scoop on Zappe for the Patriots and Tennessee Titans season ticket holders watching that closely. Love it. Okay, here's mine, guys. Here's my player prop bets for week 5. My 2 hot picks. All right. Kyler Murray over 25.5 rushing yards. Payouts minus 125. And this is why, like Kyler Murray, it's been a weird year. He's yelling with his coach Kingsbury. They're tied at the hip. He's got the big money. What's going on? But Murray is inside the top 10 in nearly every advanced rushing metric when it comes to rushing quarterback. So he's averaging 6 rushing attempts, 22.8 rushing yards. But one game he had only 8 yards, and the rest. So if you take that one game out, he's over that 25 rushing mark per game. Has a pair of goal line scores as well. And this is where I think when you look at a Philadelphia defense who set you at Darius Slay lurking back there, that's a really good secondary. They can give up against the run. So against the pass is good. So this should hopefully force Kyler Murray to go running around a little bit, get scurrying, and pick up over 25.5. But I think I like that 25.5 rushing yards for Murray versus Philly.
Right, because he'll be on the run too, because Philly will rush them. And then also speaking of that same game, it's that new game. We've got Miles Sanders at 60. We've got hit Miles Sanders like 75, 80 rushing yards today. This prop on FanDuel, 63.5, over 63.5. Miles Sanders. Last 1 10. So we played that one as well.
So that was almost a 20-yard difference. So that's what we look for when we're doing these prop bets. And fantasy is good to bet for these prop bets.
Right. And Miles Sanders has been a pleasant surprise in fantasy and on the betting side as well. He's been a pleasant surprise, which was the concern going in, because when you have a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts, and you got guys like Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott behind him, it's like, okay, well, who's really going to get the touches? But Miles Sanders has been a nice surprise. A guy who's been a bit, now he popped last week finally for his fantasy owners, but a guy who's been a little bit underwhelming for how high he was drafted is Austin Eckler of the Chargers. Now he's facing my Browns, and I'm taking the under on the 52.5 rushing yards. That's a plus 104. And the reason, guys, is Austin Eckler, especially right now, they really have him dialed in on the passing side, right? Those extended run plays, those quick out plays. And he's only hit over 60 or more rushing yards one time this year so far. So I'm thinking, like, if I'm looking at Eckler for a Browns team who Myles Garrett is going to be back, Jadeveon Clowney should be back. You should be getting Taven Bryan in the middle too. So that defensive front that was so thin last week should be a bit more whole to try to contain him and really try to force Eckler to the outside. And that lends itself more to passing to him rather than him rushing the ball. So I like the under on that 52.5.
I like that too. That same game, Harwood, tell them about Amari Cooper's prop.
Well, Amari Cooper is 49.5. I like that over. We think he'll go 65 to 70 yards easy. He might get 49.5 yards in one play.
Right.
He might pull a Debo Samuel 29.
I hope you're right. I'm cheering for a Browns upset, guys. I'm not feeling too good on the I'm not feeling too great with the collapses that they lost to the Jets and the Falcons. But no, I think Amari Cooper. Another guy on the tight end side, we know how thin the tight end group is. David Njoku, I think, is a nice little streaming play if you're in trouble, because he has shown that really he is the number 2 target when the Browns aren't running the ball after Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and Kyle Pitts is out, right? I don't know if it's official, but that the Njoku will be a good play for if you have Pitts.
Pitts is out. He's done.
Okay, he's out. So.
Yep, great call. Yeah, Pitts is out. That's a big dog who's out there on the tight end side, which is already super thin. Love that. All right, guys, let's look at our fantasy football starts, sits, and sleepers for you guys. So give me a must start in fantasy football today.
The must start, I think it's got to be Rhamondre Stevenson and David Pierce to run back this. Right. Because the team has depth running back, they should break that like this. Matt, what do you think?
I think the start of the week is going to be, I'm going to go right back to it. I think Miles Sanders is going to make owners happy. I know you're probably playing him, regardless, but he's a good start. And then maybe a sleeper today might be Robert Woods. with Burks on IR, Wood's going to get a lot of targets today.
Absolutely love that pick. That's actually going to be leaning towards my danger zone pick later with Burks out. I think that's really smart. We'll get more into him in a little bit. My must start guys is Jamal Williams of the Lions. Look, the guy is proven. Yeah, here's the thing. Jamal Williams, the guy's proven even with DeAndre Swift, and he still has flex appeal. Standalone, an absolute stud. And New England has given up. They have given up the fourth fewest fantasy points to running backs, but we know that for Jamal Williams, he can catch, he can run, he can produce. And in a game where you might be looking to grind it out a little bit, and that New England might be trying to take away whatever few passing options the Lions have with all their injuries, I think Jamal Williams is a must start, and he's a pretty decent value in DFS still. He's not going to break your bank.
I agree. I had him last year and he sucked, but this year, he's doing awesome. So, definitely.
Love that. Okay, so we got who's a sit? Who's a sit, boys? Who do you got for a sit? Who's not playing? Who do you not want?
What? It's going to be a lot of it's going to depend on some of these closer games. I mean, with the sit aspect, I'm probably leaning toward Alvin Kamara sitting. I think he's just done. He's going to play today, but I just don't see him doing much. I think the Saints are going a different direction. And
I got Tyler Algier. I know he's a popular pick now with Patterson on IR. Tampa Bay's rush defense is probably the best in the league, so I might be careful on Algier today.
And I think that's a great thing, or a great message to send there, because we also have to remember, folks, in fantasy football, how often do we see people chase, right? Oh, Algier went off against the Browns. Okay, well, so did Huntley, and it was against a banged up. Don't chase. I'm not saying he might not grow into that, especially with Patterson out. But this is a very bad Atlanta Falcons team. This is not a good team. So I would just be a little careful there. So I like what you're going that way. To me, I'm sitting Antonio Gibson. Mentioned earlier, Brian Robinson, great story, coming back. How is this workload going to be? Don't forget, you still have J.D. McKissick there. You still got to feed Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Logan Thomas is around there. Your quarterback's Carson Wentz. So there's a lot looking into this of okay, how we're getting into unknown territory on how this distribution will work when it comes to Robinson and Gibson. So if possible, I'm advising give Gibson a little sit here and just try to test things out.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. That is a good call.
Well, the Titans' run defense has been pretty good since Buckley week one.
And Barr didn't get going until late in that game. Second half is when he did his work.
Yeah. Now, sleeper gentlemen, who's somebody maybe a little under the radar? Maybe they're a value pickup on waivers. You're looking to stream. Who's a sleeper that you're looking at?
On the FFSC, there are no such thing as sleepers because we got deep benches. Players on the bench, but with Tavis Murray, I think he'll be good going forward. Melvin Gordon is his whole career number one, and he's got an autographed copy of the Bible. I don't think they signed Tavis Murray for a reason, and I think he did really good over in London. I think he'll do pretty good in the next couple of weeks. Now, people probably already picked up this week, but because those that may have dropped it because they're on the cheap, and then initially he'll be a lot more expensive. So then Zay Jones too, if they may have dropped it because last week didn't play. Right. This week too.
Yeah, Zay Jones has been pretty good. He's been sneaky good. It's not an exciting Jacksonville receiving core. If you look at just name value, it doesn't jump off the page. But Christian Kirk's been a stud. Zay Jones has popped, and even Marvin Jones from time to time has elevated himself. So that's an interesting look. Mine is Teddy Bridgewater. And I was on with Adam Rank of NFL Network earlier this week, guys, on his podcast. And I've been pounding the table for Teddy. It's Teddy time, okay? Versus the Jets. The stars are aligning. The Jets, we know how bad they are. They got some pieces in the secondary. I'm going to give them credit. But overall, they're not good. The question marks of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both are looking to play. You also got Mike Gesicki back there, and Teddy Bridgewater has proven throughout his career to be one of the best plug-and-play backups in the NFL. He studies meticulously. He's got the receivers ready, and he is perfect to quickly distribute the football, get it out of his hand and into one of those playmakers' hands and make big chunk plays. So I think Teddy Bridgewater, he was only owned earlier in the week, guys, in 2% of most redraft leagues. He's cheap. He's under 6K in DFS. Teddy Bridgewater, Dolphins versus Jets. I'm loving that sleeper pick, and I'm going to try to get him in as many contests as possible.
Yep, I've got him going today. I agree with you. I got him in Sam Bowl games, so I'm with you on that. Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, he'll get it done today, no doubt.
Let's throw him in the head.
Just please. You know they'll be watching that extra close. My goodness. All right, guys, and let's get DFS value play. DFS for FanDuel, for DraftKings, whatever. Who's your DFS value play? A cheap guy who might pop a little bit. Who are you liking DFS wise that might be, again, sort of in that sleeper vein, but more so of one of those contrarian plays, which we know are so important when it comes to playing DFS. You want the stars, but how you win is you get those little hidden gems. Those cheaper guys pop them and they go off, and then you earn some money in the contest.
Maybe the Seattle Seahawks defense.
Okay.
Nate Jones is 3,800 on FanDuel. And
it's Texans. I like that.
Jeff Wilson, I like him too.
Yep. I think that's you know what, that's not bad. And Seahawks versus the Saints, yeah, like Dalton, they could, like Saints could even still win that game. Like that one with Dalton under there and Geno Smith being unpredictable and the Saints defense still being good. That could be a low scoring, kind of grind it out. Maybe Dalton throws a pick. Seahawks DST, a little undervalued. I like it. I'm going to go Mike Gesicki, guys. I'm going to do a little stack with Teddy Bridgewater and Mike Gesicki, okay? Versus the Jets. Now, Hill and Waddle, not 100%. Now, they're going to be in there, but not 100%. We were talking about how thin the tight end group is anyway, how thin it is. So if you don't want to go and spend up on one of the big players, Kelsey, Waller, whatever, Andrews, this is where maybe you get Gesicki in, just takes a couple good throws. Maybe one of the other players doesn't get a full snap share. He's going to get secondary to tertiary coverage from that Jets defense, and they're not that deep. So Mike Gesicki, $3,500 when it comes to DraftKings. I'm sure he's around the same for FanDuel. Gives you some cap flexibility.
Well, he could in the end zone.
Yeah, like he move the chains. He could. Absolutely he could. Okay, guys, you know what? Let's get one more from you here. Is there we do the danger zone here on the show, okay? We get a little dangerous. We pick danger zone, baby. I mocked it after Baker Mayfield's woke up feeling dangerous. That hasn't aged well as a Browns fan, but I still like it. So poor Baker, but it's still pretty much a super bold prediction. These essentially are supposed to be wrong. These are supposed to be big predictions. Last week, for example, I said that TJ Hawkinson would be a top 2 fantasy tight end. I hit on that bang on because he balled out. But give me something a little, from it could be somebody that we've talked about already, could be a situation that we're looking at and you're like, you know what, this probably won't happen, but I have a couple reasons why it could. Could it be a Isaiah McKenzie 100-yard for the Buffalo Bills if they do hone in on Stephon Diggs, whatever. You guys got something a little dangerous that you're feeling on this Sunday morning?
I got 2. I got George Pickens going for 100 today.
Woo!
100.
And I got Tom Brady throwing 4 touchdowns today.
Yes.
That's 1 touchdown for X1. Hey, I'm a special ed in a reading intervention teacher. I teach reading intervention. Next week's reading story is going to be Daddy doesn't live here anymore, with the picture of Tom Brady on the outside with a suitcase waving goodbye to Giselle and his daughter. Yeah, Daddy doesn't live here anymore. That's going to prove on so many schools.
You know what, guys? Like the Brady thing. Here's the thing. And we can never get inside the mind truly of somebody, but Brady has made a career out of finding chips on his shoulder. Well, some he's made up. This can be a real one. Everyone's looking at him like, oh, your supermodel wife's leaving you. Like, it would not surprise me if we see Brady like, all right, people, I'll give you something to talk about. And the guy pops off for 4. He threw 3 touchdowns last week against KC, and you're facing Atlanta, who we talked about. Defense can be shredded easily. I don't care what the injuries are like or who's healthy or who's not. I'm digging it. Danger zone pick Brady 4 touchdowns. Come on. I like it.
Go. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm saying Robert Woods. I'm going with Robert Woods as my danger zone pick. I think he has multiple touchdowns, 100-yard game. Robert Woods today with Burks out. We've seen the trend going up. And with Burks being injured, I think Robert Woods finally can be going into week 5, comfortable with the new team. Of course, they're going to be a run first. But at some point, what's been the genius of this Titans team from time to time? You work in Henry, he gets it. The defense focuses too much on the run. Boom. Robert Woods pops, goes for 2 touchdowns today. Danger zone. Come on, Titans, tighten up.
I like it. Tighten up.
Let's do it.
I love it.
Tighten up. Tighten up. I like it. Okay, guys, you guys have been awesome. Super generous with your time. Appreciate it. Tell people again about the SBFFC, what it is, where they can find more. And then hopefully next year I will be with you guys. We'll take lots of pictures and promo videos in Kentucky. We'll maybe doing a little bourbon trail, sipping on some bourbon.
Whenever you come to Kentucky, you don't have to one thing. You have all your drinks and food already paid. All you got to do is sit there and grab the table and say, SBFFC.com. It's SBFFC.com. It's Southern Bluegrass Fantasy Football Championship in 14th season. We'll have about $225 buy-in. Single entry, we got 264 teams. So it's a very exclusive club. I'm really going to promote this as much. So I'm just promoting on special podcasts like you all because we want a certain clientele to be in SBFFC. And you guys are the tribes. I want y'all to be part.
Awesome, man. I really hope I can get that. You know what? We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna set this up. Check out the site. Super fun event. And gentlemen, thank you. Safe travels home. And let's see what happens today. Tighten up.
Tighten up. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
You too, guys. We'll see you later. Awesome. Absolutely love it. There they go. Dr. Brian Harwood, the founder of the SBFFC, and Matt Krantz, great guy there too, contributing on the fantasy football and prop play betting side. Great having them there. Hopefully you guys could hear them okay. That was a ton of fun. All right, we got some questions. We got hashtag Ask Andy, baby. Okay, we got to rock and roll here. Let's go. Let's see here. We'll get to some that are in the chat. Twitter at AndyMCD1, hashtag Ask Andy. Remember, folks, share the link here. Share the link on your social. Get more people in. Let's get some bits in the jar. Click subscribe. We always appreciate that. Follow notifications on. Get you rocking and get you rolling. Andrea saying, love you, Andy. Love you too, Andrea. Absolutely. There we go. Let's see. Let's get to some questions here. We got Big Easy 79. Just replaced Marquise Brown with Robert Woods, but I feel like it's pretty much a push. And hey, you just heard, I'm Robert Woods in my danger zone. Danger zone, brother. Okay. With Treylon Burks out, Robert Woods, while being at times with the Rams allergic to the end zone, like really weird. It was a couple years ago, he had like 1,000 yards, like 1 touchdown. It was ridiculous. It was insane. But with Derrick Henry and that offensive line, as you heard Brian and Matt say, they follow the Titans closely. Offensive line, Derrick Henry back into the group. This, folks, as well, we're entering week 5. For players and teams that do so little in the preseason these past few years, don't want to risk injury, whatever. For teams that do so little, they need the first 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks to get into the regular season group. That time has arrived. And I think we're going to see that today when we see Derrick Henry have a strong day and we see Robert Woods have a really good day. And that's why for my danger zone pick, I'm picking Robert Woods for someone to go 2 touchdowns, and he's going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver today. Okay? Top 10 fantasy wide receiver today. And I'm just seeing I want to check out the Packers game here. That's the Titans Commanders game, 1 o'clock. It's against Washington. Yeah, that's not scaring anybody. Okay, let's see. In the third quarter, 2013, Packers lead the Giants. Saquon Barkley leading rusher. That's good if you're a Saquon Barkley owner. See, I knew this would happen one of these days. I knew it. Randall Cobb, 6 catches, 90 yards. Everybody rushing for Romeo Doubs. Everybody Lazard. And at some point, it was going to be Randall freaking Cobb dusting off and getting in there and being Aaron Rodgers. I knew it. And you know what? People are going to be clamoring for Randall Cobb on the waiver wire. I'm going to get lots of questions this week. Do I pick up Randall Cobb? The answer is no. I don't care if Randall Cobb goes for 200 yards today. I don't care. Don't get Randall Cobb because you're going to get this maybe like one more time during the year, and that's it. All right? Lazard with the other Lazard and Mercedes Lewis. See, you sprinkle in that. That's fantasy depth. 1 catch, 2 yards, and a touchdown for Mercedes Lewis. That's up in the tight end group. You might be a top 5 tight end with stuff like that. Just terrible. The Pickens for 100 yards. Danger zone pick there by Matt. Interesting. I hope he's wrong because I hate the Steelers. I do. I wish I hope Kenny Pickett throws 4 interceptions and he has a terrible day. Hate the Steelers, hate the Ravens, hate the Bengals because I'm a Browns fan. However, I'm also able to corral those emotions and put my fantasy football hat in. I think George Pickens is a heck of a talent. Is Kenny Pickett going to be the guy in his first start? You cannot take from what a team does with a quarterback that comes in mid-game because the opposition didn't have time to prepare. Now they have time to prepare for baby hands, Kenny Pickett, little tiny hands. That's the thing. Is he going to hold into the football against that Bills defense? Bills 14-point favorites. Let's talk about that. I might take the Steelers to cover there. 2 touchdowns in the NFL against we're not talking like a dog run team like with the Steelers. They're still professional. They're kind of in that Patriots zone where they rarely get blown out. So I think I take the Steelers to cover on the 14-point spread, but Bills to win straight up in the money line. Rick Rock, London game is on right now. Third quarter, Packers up on the Giants 20-13. Randall Cobb, I knew it. You know, you play Randall Cobb every week, and if you do, and you'll get a hit 1 or 2 times. That's it. That's all you're getting. Let's make sure I didn't miss any other questions here. Ask Andy, Jets or Dolphins? Dolphins from Big Easy. Dolphins is the answer today. Dolphins taking out the Jets, and Teddy Bridgewater is going to ball out. Like I said, I was on Adam Rank at the NFL Network, his podcast. He said he's going to shout me out on his NFL Fantasy Live show on NFL Network if Teddy Bridgewater hits. So come on, Teddy. Teddy, 2 gloves. Like I said, one of the best plug-and-play fantasy quarterbacks you can do. DraftKings. Check out the value, okay? You put Teddy Bridgewater in at your quarterback spot. DraftKings, $5,400 of your $50K salary. Look at that value when you compare to, do you want him, Teddy Bridgewater at $5,400 or Jared Goff versus that New England defense at $6,100? I would take Teddy Bridgewater. Tom Brady too. Tom Brady's only $6,000. I'd probably put Brady in as well. $6,000 only for Brady. Wow. I put Brady in. Kirk Cousins versus Chicago. I like Cousins this week, but Stafford and Dallas. Stafford $6,400. Matthew Stafford has thrown 2 games without a touchdown. I'm not interested in Matthew Stafford. And Kyler Murray's way overpriced in DraftKings at $7,400. Way overpriced. So Teddy Bridgewater, really smart play. Big Easy, go Bills. There you go. Julio Jones out. Logan Thomas out. We have that injury report coming in from Jamie. So there you go. Julio Jones, just a mess. I advise you not to draft him, people. Hope you listened. Let's see what other injury reports we have here. And we'll get to a few more Ask Andy. It's a Thanksgiving edition, so we're going to take off in about 6 minutes so I can have some, head on out, have some Thanksgiving family time. Let's see. Yeah, I got a Marquise Brown or Robert Woods. Go Robert Woods. That came in there. I want to see what other injuries. Schefter had a whole bunch. Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett, both active today officially versus the Chargers. Go Browns! Yes. Oh, all right. Now here's something interesting. Amon-Ra St. Brown, active for the Lions. The Lions heading into their bye week. There's speculation he would sit. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud, but he was a game time decision, like a now time decision. Is he going to get a full workload? And can you afford not to have him in even against New England? I have Amon-Ra St. Brown in a couple teams. I'm going to try to not play him today because I just if I have a better option or an option I think is going to get me maybe in the mid fantasy teams, I just don't trust that ankle today. Alvin Kamara officially active. So if you're an Alvin Kamara owner, you can get him in your lineup. Unlike last week in London where they sprung that out the last second. with the Seahawks. Kamara, I think, is going to have a big game against Seattle. Again, those extended run plays for the running backs, right? We'll toss, run, hand it off, extended play. You want, if you're Andy Dalton, game manage it. You want to game manage it and get it out of his hands. And Alvin Kamara is the guy to do that. Michael Thomas out as well. So Kamara and Olave, I think, could have really big days against that defense from Seattle. So yeah, Julio Jones out. Russell Gage will play for the Falcons. I got Gage on one of my team's benches. I might put Russell Gage in today. I think I might. I might put Russell Gage in today. Yeah. So Bucks have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Gage ready. Gage will still be the third option there. I think I might put him in for one. We'll see what's shaking. Brian Robinson in, as we said. T. Higgins and Hayden Hurst from the Bengals, both expected to play. This is the night game, though, against the Ravens. So that can always change. That's that little bit of a risk. If they don't go, you're really going to be stuck, right? So that's kind of the tricky part there. Josh Reynolds, listed as questionable due to an ankle injury, is expected to play as well for the Lions. Hill and Waddle expected to play also. And how about Russell Wilson? For those of you who missed it, shoulder procedure yesterday in that extended bye week, expected to still play, but that game was just that was the worst football game I can remember seeing in a long time, that Thursday night one. And then the tone deafness of Russell Wilson. At the end to go, Broncos country, let's ride. It's like, are you on autopilot, bro? Read the room. There was no touchdowns in the game, and you're saying, let's ride, and you lost. It's not like you won a dog. You lost. You say, let's ride? Yeah. Russell Wilson, man. For those of you on Twitter, check out Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football. Check out his rant on Russell Wilson. Pretty eye-opening. Some good real talk there. I want to get to a couple questions, then we'll boot ski. Hashtag Ask Andy. You can get those in. Let's see here. Always got to find those ones. Let's see here. Here we go. This from @JohnMiller9393 on Twitter. J.K. Dobbins, Breece Hall, Dameon Pierce. Who's my RB2? Who's my flex? Who do I bench? I said Pierce and Hall. Dameon Pierce, I like the ascension, like the workload. Late in games, they're still going to Burkhead. Hopefully they give Pierce a bit more of a touch there. I'll say Breece Hall. I still do not trust any Ravens running back long term because Lamar Jackson's there and he's the top guy. Pedro in Calgary says, it says flex position, Dameon Pierce, Brown, or Olave. So again, I think I'm really bullish on Chris Olave. I'll say Pierce and I'll go Olave. Yeah. I'll say Pierce and Olave. Marquise Brown, I don't like against the Eagles with their secondary. They're weaker against the run, but I think Marquise Brown has a down day because of that secondary. Kyler Murray, though, remember my prop play, my too hot pick. Kyler Murray over 25.5 rushing yards. There we go. On Twitch here. Hashtag Ask Andy, JVP it to go, or it go, whatever. Monty or Herbert? I'm going to say, even though Montgomery, it looks like he will be playing, you go Herbert today. It's going to be a split, but Montgomery could be on a pitch count, and he's not 100%. It's going to be a bit dicey, though. He is going to cut into Herbert's time, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like Herbert should be the guy to be able to step in and still get the majority of reps. I think if you can have more of somebody with a more defined workload, you try to go that route, but it's a little tough. All right, people, I'm going to go have some Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving. I'm going to watch some football. Go Browns. Any other questions, hit me up on Twitter @AndyMC81, Instagram @AndyMCSports. Hashtag Ask Andy. Thank you to my guests, Dr. Brian Hardwood and Matt Krantz. Really appreciate them calling from on the road. Make sure, Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, you're listening to Dean Millard right here on twitch.tv/Ultimate Fantasy Sports for Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. I'll be in Cleveland next week, so no show next week, but I'll do some videos. Get your questions in. Get on Twitter @AndyMC81, hashtag Ask Andy. Have a great Thanksgiving if you're in Canada. If you're anywhere else, enjoy the games, folks. We'll talk to you next time.